Think we're good. Hello? Howdy? Whoop. Let's see. There we go. Howdy, YouTube. It's good to see a new book, but this one they dropped on us without telling us, like a damn Thagaraki ambush. But it is out. And though we may have missed the mark on it, even the Rat Catchers Guild didn't realize it was out yet. I I could have reviewed it on Friday, potentially, but here we are. And I would have reviewed it sooner today. Just called out of work, honestly, but there was like a district meeting. The pitfalls of a job. I've got a hearty ale and a brain ready to become a dwarf. Now, I've already read through a bit of this. Speed read, I'd say. But there's a lot of neat stuff in here. And let's just get into it as we go. So starting off, we got this incredible, very cool cover art. Got all sorts of stuff going on there. Sort of a standard Skaven thing. However, whoop, I was going to say, I do like this little rat. That's the one thing I really wanted to point out. The hell am I dropping frames? What is this saying? The stream warning. The stream is being targeted by hackers. Hold on, I gotta counter hack. There we go. We're good. I rewatched Kung Fury recently. That's a great movie. Anyway. I can just put that there. There we go. So yeah. I'm just gonna say it outright for anyone who's expecting this book to have gun hammers. I'm sorry, the gun hammers are not in this. If you're like me and you were hoping a gun hammer would find its way in, it's not. But it is 96 pages of goodness. It's pretty good. I give this one like a 8.5. Maybe a 9. I'll probably have to look at it a little bit more in depth. And obviously, you know, the digital version's always very different from their print version. That one looks so like there are two rats inside you. The nicest little edgelord and the absolute fucking goblin. And then also, I guess, a rat drawn by that person who tried to restore that painting of Jesus and made him look like a hamburger helper. I mean, the rest of it's pretty cool, to be honest. I like dwarfs. Alright, so zooming back out there, let's take a look here. That cover art, Carl Fitzgerald. Just gonna point to the fact that he's Carl. That's good. Think, you kind of need that. You need like a Carl Franz, a Carl F. That's part of it. As for the rest, we've got previous cover artists doing most of the art here. Cool. Consistent work. Good for them. It's great, right? Brewing rules. Oh, yes. I have seen such sites. I cannot wait to get to that and talk about that. I cannot wait to talk about that. But all in brew time. So, standard with all of these books and reviews at the beginning, we've got a lot of lore. Now there's a difference about this book that's pretty cool. So yeah, Kara's Anchor, XYZ, of course, we a lot of us know this. I don't think there's really anything new in here. Squint eyes, but I'm pretty sure this just, helps GMs new to the setting kind of get a better idea, and as well as people just not as familiar, right? I mean, if you don't want to go around looking on a wiki page, this is a lot more immersive. Or, immersing yourself in dozens of media. Oh, dude, Dwarf Miner into Brewer is actually going to be so powerful, too. Minor, if I'm not mistaken, gets some pretty nice stuff, especially with the Dwarven buff on it. Alright, now, a little bit about their lives. We've got kings. We've got thanes. Kind of explains it, you know. They don't like titles. Again, this kind of just gives you a better idea of how they kind of work. I mean, I don't really know much to say about this. It's pretty standard. Talks a little bit about dwarf queens, talking about how they pretty much only reign until like they get a suitable husband or their heir is able to rule. And yeah, I mean they run a lot of the hall. I mean, not too much to say here. It's a lot of stuff that you'd kind of expect, but it kind of fluffs it out a little bit more and gives that a little bit more of a backing. Get a little bit about, you know, I mean, like, okay, let me, like, focus down for a second and just show, like, oh, a dwarf hold property is the king's property. Like, okay, so, like, in a human kingdom. Oh, they're leased by the king, just like how land is leased. It's the same stuff. It's just dwarf. So I don't think there's too much sense in going each over these paragraphs. We gotta move on. Can't wait to make your whole team hungover for a week. Dude, do that? Dude, okay. Dude, I freaking love the fact that you can have a better health potion. You can have a better healing draft if it's a Dwarven Ale. And that is fantastic to me. I've always loved the idea of, like, magical food or beverages in any rule set, right? Got Thorgrim. Daddy T. The Grudge Bearer. The Hammer Wearer. The Grudge Starer. I don't know. Alright, so basically, the really cool thing about this book, it gives a bunch of dwarfs, named dwarfs, and it doesn't just give you a motivation. It doesn't just give you a lore blurb and the short-term ambition, which if you don't know Thorgrim, he is like the king of kings and dwarves. This book will tell you all about him. If you don't know who he is and you're watching this video, you are very new to Warhammer, and that's awesome. What's up? I love you. But I can't carry you here, Mr. Frodo. You're gonna have to do some reading yourself on Thorgrim. He's very important. Long story short, there's a lot of books, there are actually a lot of Book of Grudges, and there's a lot of grudges in them. And there's a lot of grudges in the Great Book of Grudges, and he's gonna strike every damn one of them out during his reign, or die trying. So, you know, lots of, like, scout this out or help recover this hold type missions you could do. For, like, he's really, like, the jack of all trades patron. I actually didn't read this one, but, let's see here. Loek is the god of artisans. So, oh, this is the Forest of Gloom! I only know this from Total War. But this is that little spot right next to Karazar Karak. Okay, that's cool. Neat. So you can literally just do the turn 2 thing that always happens in Total War, where it immediately gets taken over. Cool. So this is the cool part. They stat a bunch of people. And I have some small gripes with how people are statted, but nothing, honestly, they did a decent enough job, I suppose. Right? So you got him. He's got melee 107. Quite honestly, I would like to see that up, like, a couple more points. I don't know. Like 110 to 120, maybe, for Thorgrim, right? Just, I don't know. But maybe the equipment makes up for it, because he does have all these cool master runes. He does have, you know, the Dragon Crown, which really just gives him the leadership bonus. But, you know, when you're doing mass combat, that's going to be huge. What a beautiful, beautiful dwarf. Look at that. How glorious. That's going to get... Somebody's going to 100% calling this. Somebody's just going to... Microsoft Bing just slurp that guy out. That came out wrong. They're gonna use Magic Wand to make this guy transparent. And, I mean, I'm gonna do that, honestly. I'll do that for the thumbnail. I should have done that for this thumbnail. I didn't have the time nor the inspiration. Anywho, lots of cool equipment, lots of cool skills. We're moving on because Council of Elders, a little bit of lore about each little council. Depends on the hold, but there's tons of different elders for different holds, right? Some neat little things about different dwarfs here, as well as their interactions with each other. You know, gives you some examples. It's pretty nice, pretty cool. I do like this guy though, because he is chill with humans. I did want to mention that, but you do have to go to Aberland, which is not worth it, because the smell of sheep will kill your characters probably. And if that doesn't, then the ornery locals will. But at least it's not Sterland, right? Alright, so if you don't know the lores on the dwarven holds, and you somehow were blinded during reading the player's guide, this one kind of reinforces some of the ones that it talks about. It also talks about some new ones. Not necessarily new, but ones that weren't really mentioned in the dwarf player guide. I really do like that it talks more about, like, the territory of the dwarves. That is actually, like, one thing it actually does pretty decent, I think, is it's not just talking, like, okay, you know, oh, there's this hold here, there's this hold there. No, it talks more about, like, how they're connected, like, the way that they're connected with each other. And I think that's, like, really interesting, because it helps flush it out just a little bit more to where you can really paint the picture for your players, you know, with words. And I like that. So this is all this fluff. I think it's decently enough done here. Yeah, moving on. Here we got old Cazador. My buddy, my GM, Gorfang, he kidnapped all of this guy's family, and he's seething, and he can't cope with it. So yeah, this dude, I mean, as you can tell, all adventures with him would be about, like, trying to help him, you know, save his family, obviously. But the funniest thing with this, though, is that, well, I'll talk about it later, but there's a potential scenario where, yeah, like, the orcs are driven out of Black Crag, but it doesn't matter because everything's still terrible and everyone's dead. But we'll talk about that when it comes. It comes down a little later. Let's see here. Myth by its length. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily as long as, say, like, the Altdorf book or Lustria, sure. Hopefully they do add a bit more content. I don't know exactly what my perspective on this is, right? So, like, I grew up with D&D 3 and D&D 3.5. And, like, so I'm used to paying, like, $90, $120 to get, like, a complete set of books to just run a simple thing, right? It's not great. I don't like doing it. I much prefer, like, Warhammer. It's, like, core rulebook at least lets you play the game with just one book. But that is one thing with Cubicle 7. They always leave you wanting more, right? And sometimes you want a lot more, and sometimes you just want a little more. I haven't decided on this one what it is, but there's definitely a lot of not a lot. There's definitely places where I think there could have been more, a little more, that would have just made it perfect. Case in point, the statting of these guys, right? I think the stats should be just a little higher for all these named guys, and I think they shouldn't be so afraid to give multiple instances of Hardy to named characters. The peasant in my party has Hardy 3. And you're telling me he has more wounds than KAZUK? This he actually literally does. He has more wounds than the peasant in the game I am running. The fucking peasant character, pardon my language, pardon my Kazalid, he has more wounds than Cazador Thunderhorn, or, let me see. Yeah, he has more wounds than Thorgrim Grudgebearer. And that's where you kind of lose me, Cubicle 7. That's kind of where you lose me a little bit. Um, there's one of them I saw that only has 16. Look at the armor. Let me see the armor. Armor 6. Toughness 12. Okay. Yeah. But, I mean, rules as they are, I would imagine, like, you know, just at, like a what is it? Rank 4 soldier guy gets robust, and you can get that as much as your toughness bonus, and that's just underutilized. Like, I feel like their own rules are a little underutilized on their like important characters. Like, why is this guy? Why is it not like a robust 3? Which, if you guys don't know, robust reduces any type of damage, even supernatural, by 1 point of damage. Why would it not be like robust 3, hardy 4? I don't know. But yeah, the armor is pretty good. The armor's not, I'm not gonna lie. Not to mention, wouldn't this make it armor 7? Or is that factored in? Because I think the Grommy gets you to 6, I think. If I'm not mistaken. I'll have to go check the player's guide. But yeah, as I said, we'll talk more about some of the issues as we go. But I think overall, it's not like a bad book. I don't think, not yet. But let's continue taking a look here. He looks very smug, but the art style is totally different from everything else. But I guess it's not bad. Just looks, I don't know, squishy. I do like these goblins though. They look very fitting. Mr. Man himself, the legend, the meme, his son gone off to the forever dream to unleash him from his oathy theme, and yet it was all for naught. Because he still took the oath back up again. And had to get his surgically removed spleen. So, you know, if you don't know, this is the Slayer King. There's a bunch of cool lore on him. If you can read and you have eyeballs, read it. If you don't, I guess listen to somebody on YouTube talk about it. There's 1,000,001 options to choose from, and I hereby renounce my policy of whatever. A lot of them are like super cool. Go check them out. Consider the grudge stricken out. Let's see. Beyond the glaring issues. Yeah. Yeah, I think 20 to 30 is a good number. Maybe 33 more pages. 129. You can see I've got a bunch of shit up there. I've got a game later this week, so I keep that at the ready. You guys have no idea how long I have an entire Brave browser of 16 tabs that I've been keeping open to finish a video for over a year. I cannot wait. I'm about to be able to close out of it finally. But yeah, anyway, go get. We got the man himself, the other meme, Golgfag Maneater. Is he actually? Oh, that's right. He is in Archives too. So I guess there's a hook there. Other than that, the one thing that I thought was interesting is theoretically you could, according to the Dwarf Player Guide, you can take the like stand-in oath to like die for Ungrim, and then if you do that instead of his son, you like create a paradox, and the end times don't happen, and Games Workshop keeps making Warhammer Fantasy stuff, and it starts making the old world stuff together, and it all becomes like a higher quality, like burnt through the flames, all the subpar writers or whatever like that. Every unfinished fucking paragraph. I'm still sore. I am still sore about the fact that in Archives 3, with the supposedly updated channeling rules for the third time, they just gave up. They just gave up. And they didn't even bother they stopped mid-paragraph. I'm still gonna harp on them for that until they fix it. Fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it. Alright. Willpower 100. You're not cracking this, man. This dwarf. Makes sense. Again, though... Well, actually... No. Hold on. Okay. See, this is a really good start. Okay, but here's the thing. It should be Strike, Mighty Blow... like, 3, right? Robust... like, 2, maybe? I don't know. I just... You can level up these skills, so why do they not utilize it for their most strongest of potions? I mean, peoples. Seriously. His axe is scary enough. A hit from this weapon inflicts double wounds plus 4. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh, gee. I guess I didn't know about this lore about him. He's got a wig. Call me a fake fan. Call me an unwashed acolyte if you must, but I didn't know this about him actually. He's got a wig. Very interesting. Alright. I think a lot of this stuff's cool. Cloak, we just found out, you know, in the Elven book. I think that cloaks are now a new equipment piece, which is really neat, really nice. Some of these runes, though, I think some of the runes are new, like Rune of the Furnace. I think other runes we got in the Dwarven book, if I'm not mistaken. Because I don't remember Rune of the Furnace. But I think most of these are already covered. And that's the thing, is I feel like the Dwarf Player Guide was a decent length. Again, I want my gun hammers and maybe a little bit more. A little bit more. But so let's kind of move on. So just more lore, right? All sorts of neat stuff. Yeah. It just talks about the different kind of holds, gives a little bit of fluff about them. If you're a GM and you need to learn about this stuff, this is where to do it. And there's even neat stuff like Carrick Gantok. I've never heard of this place before. But it, yeah, there's all sorts of new stuff. There's a neat book, which I'm not really quite sure how you're supposed to look at. I guess you turn the book sideways. Yeah. I would imagine... Wouldn't it make more sense I guess it's not... I guess they probably figured out all the space they need and stuff. I just figured like a vertical. Vertical would probably work better, would it not? They know what they're doing, though. I think you guys can hit, like, Control Microsoft right, and it'll orient it properly. I don't have the Microsoft key anymore. I pried it out. But yeah, very good guide. Oh, wait a minute. There's something I want to know for myself. Okay. Yeah, they always do this, man. Okay, so, a fun little fact. For ages, I was, like, very miffed that, because they would never depict the northern coast very much. Right? I don't know if they're trying to do something big with that or what. They depicted it in the Imperial Zoo end papers, though. But so many books will have a map, and then specifically, like, Ostland and Kislev are covered of the Sea of Claws with, like, a little inset. Every single freaking time, and I'm running an adventure in there, right? But they did expand the river system in Ostland and other places, so that's pretty neat. The vaults, Mr. Belagar set out from here, if I'm not mistaken, unless that's just a total warism. Cathrakamas. This is kind of neat. Marble source, right? But again, you know, if you're interested in all this, read it yourself. Pick up the book. Norse Dwarves, Lost Holds. This is the cool one. Obviously, Karak Zorn, the big, the mysterious, the southern. I think it would be really neat to try to, like, do a thing to recreate the sky bridges there. But you can, with the rules in this book, you can actually dig your way. Sort of. There's sort of and sort of not rules for long distance digging. But you can travel through the underways with these delve mechanics, which we'll get into. So anywho, again, if you're really interested in all of those, check those out. This is the meat that I like to eat. We have the dwarves they heard. The Gazetteur of the Dwarf Realms. We have hard numbers. Empire has, like, size things, and I think, first of all, I think this is weird and strange and totally foreign, and I like it, actually, because it confers to my narrative and my agenda I'm trying to push. See, because they sort of don't, they kind of give hard numbers, but kind of don't, right? They have the size, and, like, that's supposed to sort of nebulously represent the population, but now we know there are millions of dwarves. Not just as many as the plot requires, there's, I think, probably 2 million, or just short of it. That said, that just reinforces my belief that with the human cities, what it would be is Altdorf's about 1 million to 1.5 million people or so, right? Erengrad is somewhere between 2 to 3 million, and Marienburg is somewhere around, like, 4 to 6, probably around, like, 5 million people. That's my personal schizophrenia. If you disagree with me, 1v1 me and Rust. Yeah, so I think this is neat. You know, we've got so many troops, all this stuff. It's just neat. And then they actually, like, kind of define which luxuries, which is always kind of nice, you know. And the holds are just bevies of resources. I mean, trading with these guys in your campaign is going to be very lucrative if you can manage to do so. Though, I feel like most human adventuring parties are going to open themselves up to getting grudged. But isn't that part of the... Oh my god. My character spilled burning lamp fluid on a dwarf by accident. Burnt off half of his beard and scarred his face. But it happened in the darkness, so the dwarf is only, like, 80% sure it was me. And, yeah. I had to give up a lot to not get grudged. So bad. He's probably still gonna kill me. You're like, that wasn't enough. I decided he wasn't sincere. But yeah, 2 whole pages. 2 whole pages. Very cool stuff. I'm a big fan of that. Karak Norn, this one we're actually getting, like, super detailed. We get a map, we get a lot about the actual kind of layout and how, you know, what each thing can fit and where people can go and which connects to what. There's a little mini map, right? Filedorf, this connects to Ubersreich. So players doing that. They've got a little thing there. The map is kind of stylized. Here's my issue with it. Don't you think dwarves would draw a little bit better than this? Look at the fine craftsmanship here. And then they're just gonna draw like this? Like this? Like that? What even is this? A hole? Or just an unfinished part that they didn't bother? They shaded it weird. I don't know. I feel like this is my other complaint. I was talking to you guys about. This is my other complaint. I feel like the maps could have been a little bit better here. Now that said, Meissen, we got porcelain there. I only just learned about this. Very cool. But yeah, little surrounding, settlements and where is it? There it is. All sort of listed out in the key here. Lots of mines. Lots of mines. Oh god, there it goes. It took a second for it to like de-pixelate. Anywho, this goes more into it, things are not good necessarily here. It's like any other Dwarfold, really. I mean, you got the goblins, you've got all sorts of threats coming in. I didn't read this part too much, but it seems pretty standard. I do intend to give it a more detailed look, but in hilarious briefness when I actually do review this. But I think this is decently good from what little I did skim through, because it kind of just sets up and immerses the players more. It gives the DM again more brushes to paint the picture with. And it gives you a couple examples of people at each level. So I believe this is the outside of it. Then you've got the surface. Yeah. Gates. A little tavern lady. The Lord, the man himself, and his wife. Isn't she a looker? And I do want to go back to the map because it is neat. But again, okay. Let me put it this way. This, good. Good enough. This, okay. But some of these things are like, dude, you didn't even try. Like, it just, I'll give you guys a second to look through here. But some of these things, it's really clear they put a lot of effort into it. And others, it's like they were rushing. And I don't know. Aren't dwarves supposed to be very prideful and exacting? And isn't their craftsmanship supposed to show utter skill at like all times? That's just kind of a gripe I have. I remember poring over books as a young beardling, enamored by the level of detail and all the stuff going on in books back then. Codexes, Dungeons and Dragon books, Warhammer 2nd Edition books. There's so much to look at, and it was all, for the most part, like, people put effort into it. It is kind of like Fallout Shelter, yeah. Let me tap on my dwarves to send them out to the Underdeep. Hopefully they'll get me some more premium gems so I can finally unlock the skin. The skin for Zilra. Dude, she's ugly. I'm trying to think. She reminds me of like a 80s Hollywood actor. Like there's what man is that? I can't remember, but I swear to God, I just watched like the guy from RoboCop that blows the dude's legs off. Anyway, moving on. So you have a person at each kind of stage of this as you go down. You've got like the main levels, right? So you've got the deep, like the main hall, the underdeep, and then like the dark deep. Or no, the underdeep's the lowest. My bad. The deep dark is like this level. This makes sense. Like this, if you did Dwarf Fortress, right? This is exactly what you do. You dig in, You maybe like, oh no, there's a cavern, so you like put you like seal it off, and then you dig down and you make a bunch of defensive positions with walls and everything like that to give your dudes time to get there, and then you start going into the real shit. So I do like, it's very dwarfy. Feels like it's what it should be. But this, that's a disgrace to Grungni. Or who is that for? Smednir? Smednir? He's not pleased. He's not pleased. But yeah. I do like that whenever, like, one thing I will say is Cubicle 7 does make a couple interesting NPCs, even if it's just, like, kind of, like, short stuff, so I do appreciate that. It kind of just, gives you a little bit to help with. I think one thing where it failed is it doesn't give enough examples like that throughout the book. They really, like in a 2e book or in a 1e book, you would see a lot more writing, right? Like this might get like 3 paragraphs or even a page. And I've read the Marienburg book, some of it. So that is always a little sad. Short. But again, let's move on. So, where are we here? Norn is detailed. We've got some really nice art. Again, just more lore, layout stuff. If you're into that, so much the better. If you're not too much of a fan, eh. Let me see here. Runesmith stuff. See, I think this is really interesting. I would really like to run dwarf stuff, so it's always interests me. And I do like that they do work with the wizards a lot. Like this book does talk about that a lot. A lot of wizards work with people, and they mention like ensorcelled munitions and such like that. It's pretty cool. That's fucking sick. It's a ghost. Okay, so this is like their got plots. There's some good stuff with the ghosts in this. There's a ghost that you're supposed to retrieve the corpse of this guy. He's a rune priest, right? So it's a pretty important job to retrieve him. But he shit himself to death. And his ghost is haunting the players as they're bringing him back, saying like, no, 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 don't bring me back. They're gonna know I shit myself to death. I can't die of that. Like, I can't have that shame on myself, even though I'm already dead. And I think that's an interesting adventure, right? What do you do? What do you do to help that guy? Like do you grant him the ignominious burial? Do you try to like doctor up his body? What do you do? Are you gonna wipe the dwarf's ass? It's disgusting, but it's silly. I don't know. It's grim and it's perilous. You do the wrong thing and you could be forced to take the Slayer Oath, or if you're a human, you could get like horizontally bisected, you know? It's not a good not a good option. Jeez. Jesus. I got a Demon Slayer here. I thought this of note. She's got like a double mohawk going on. But yeah. Double mohawk. Oh, I did like these. The bronze bearded cannons. These do not suffer range penalties. Long and extreme range. Durable too as well. The thing is though, 1,000 gold crowns. 1,000 gold crowns. But it's a sniper cannon. I'd say that's worth stealing. Wait. Riddle Diddle the Disappearing Dwarf. Oh, this was neat. I did read the second half of this paragraph before I left for work. So, dwarf, like they have like nursery rhymes and like mythology and stuff like this. Basically, one is like almost like Quickstone, like you could just like step wrong and fall into the back rooms and be lost forever. And the other one is like basically like just a random creature grabs dwarfs and like takes them away forever. Um, so you know the Underdark is a pretty scary place. You could shit yourself to death. You could fall into the back rooms. The Bloxen could get you. Um, so I like this lore and flavor. Now that said, can we talk about how this is 100% on purpose? This is one thing I really wanted to talk about. They knew exactly what they were doing. You know what this is. You know exactly what's wrong with this and what's right with this. It's the freaking soy dwarf. He's a soy dwarf. He's doing the soy face. Oh my God, Umgi! Can you believe the hustle and bustle of living in an imperial city? We can go to a tavern, which is like a refectory, and we can enjoy a nice hoppy ale or two. Moving on. So this is one of my favorite parts of the book. The delve. So, you can go underground all sorts of places. I think that's super freaking cool, and like entire campaigns can come out of this. Like it's actually insane. I like how the pound is the stubble. Um, the Kislev run. This one, it took me a second to figure this out, but this is okay. So up by the Red Eye hold. I know it says Red Eye Foot, but it's like I think it's Karak Ungor or something like that. I think it's like the original Slayer hold, right? That it's from up to there all the way down to the mountains that separate Talea and Estalia. That's 95 stages of travel. If you have a map and you make a challenging navigation test, you can reduce it by 1 to a minimum of 1. Even still, that's only going to be like 80. It's no good. But it's cool that you can do it. I really think that it is super cool that you can do it. We have dwarf mining vehicles from the player's guide. We have gyrocopters, which can be flown in Grand Cavern-sized tunnels, which we'll talk about in a second. All in all, it's super freaking good. We've got a Gorger about to eat some dwarves. The tunnel conditions, very interesting part here. So there's a lot of stats for tunnels. There's like the integrity and like occupancy. And there's also like the conditions like visibility and integrity. It's neat. Some of the ones have special modifiers. So with this one, it's basically like the least likely for bad stuff to happen. It's Karak Kadrin to Karak Azul. It's kind of like where the dwarves' main power base is, right? So they've got that pretty strong. The Frontier is more like, you know, all the other Western dwarfs. And then this is where I want to go. The place where you want to, like, either put new dwarf colonies like the Mountains of Morin and Spinus Soteg. Dude, could you imagine just digging into the underworld of Nagaroth? I wonder if during the War of Vengeance and the War of the Beard, I wonder if there are any dwarf colonies in the New World that we just don't know about. That would be cool. Um, let's see here. Ooh, the Mine of the Bearded Skulls. Dude, that's cool. So I like that it actually does suggest, even though it's kind of shilling, um, other books to pick up. I think, I don't know. I think this is a decent book. I just think Mario was right. Maybe like 20, 30 pages more. But yeah, so you might have it patrolled, maintained, occupied, crumbling, deserted, etc. These all like give you different modifiers. I think it's cool. Um, I think the fact that dwarves, because like elves haven't gotten that really yet. The fact that dwarves have their own travel rules, that's cool. I mean, one final thing I would like to maybe see is them touch on like underwater stuff, but that could even just be its own like I don't even know, like its own book. Because you got submersibles, you got a couple stuff, you got a couple things where like elves or dwarves they go underwater and do stuff. Whoop, what happened? Where are we? Okay, we're not too far. Um, I do think it's neat too. Like with any travel thing, how would this be fair if the dwarves did not get their own delving endeavors, but they're mostly the same as travel endeavors, so you can see, find water, map, camp, recuperate. It's literally just the same. So I think that's a huge miss, even if it is different. Which I don't think. I'll be honest. I skimmed it. I haven't compared them yet. I will when I do the review like proper, but I'll probably do it way before that. I don't think they're that different. And secondly, um, man, I think it's a missed opportunity. It's you're in it underground. You could, I don't know, man. I feel like there's a lot of other things you could do, like fortify whatever. Like you dig out a thing. Maybe I don't think that feels like make camp. I feel like it's different. You know, I don't know. Like I prospect or something. There's tons of things, and also this is just plain freaking insulting. The idea that going underground and making a nice ass map and getting only one gold crown as a dwarf, I'm pretty sure maps in the Empire start at like 3 gold crowns. So the idea that your map as a dwarf in an area where they desperately need new information that's accurate, and you're a dwarf, you only get 1 gold crown. Is Thorgrim pinching pennies here? I mean, I know they have the gold lust, which isn't mentioned in this book, nor I don't think the dwarf player guide, if I remember correctly. Which why not mention that? Why not mention gold fever? That's also another miss, I think. That would be neat. That would be neat, but there's already kind of travel rules for boats with Sea of Claws, so I'd have to see how they do it differently. I'm thinking potentially what elves might get, not the high elves, of course. They don't, the world route would be my thought, but that would be my first thought. I think maybe either flying or some sort of magical travel might get illuminated on for elves, or maybe something about the unique travails an elf experiences traveling elsewhere. Though I kind of doubt that because the book's about the donut. So I don't think they're going to focus too much on things outside of the donut. But yeah, again, I just, man, really just kind of like, that's the kind of thing that makes a dwarf take the Slayer Oath. That's a shame. That's an insult. That's a grudge. Um, did the dwarf music all end? Oh, no, 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 we're good. That is extremely copyright forbidden. Whatever, who cares? Uh, again, travel. Travel encounters, delving encounters. I, again, really like this. This one's way dangerous. You could have demons. You could have freaking... What are those things? They're like the praying mantises that are like invisible and they eat Skaven. Their name is escaping me, but they're really freaking cool. I want to say they're called like... Trekkas or something like that. I don't know. All sorts of stuff. Neat stuff, and even a shortcut. I think this is reused. I really want to say that this is reused. This little thing here. Oh, yes. The Gotrek and Felix. I mean, that's, I think, right around here. Real quick, this one, underground combat, some extra stuff. In case you guys forgot, enclosed spaces is a thing. I forgot all about that. Made me remember I can use that to nerf my players. -20 on attacks. Have a fight inside of a building and use this rule today. Or on a boat. Or in a moat. That said, some really neat rules, and if you really think about it, technically a halfling will have to go all Vietnam. Like, if you recruited a bunch of halflings with nothing left to lose to go in and kill Skaven, they would be really good at it. I think. So yeah, you know, if you're tall or if you're large, things are not good for you in underground combat. If you are an ogre, things are not good for you. It's gonna be hard. But then you also have the Grand Caverns, which again, even gyrocopters or wyverns can fly overhead. And it even says if you want, you can like kind of like put it down so that you can have like your epic fight against monsters, creatures, or like they can't follow you through a thing, but it's still big enough for your stuff to fit through, which is, you know, I guess it's nice they put that there, but yeah. Oh, dude, Gotrek's axe is actually insane. I did see that. Gotrek, I think, is very close to being statted properly. I think he's very close. I just think, again, give him another hardy or two. Give him another damn robust. Give him ambidexterity, right? I think he was ambidexteritus. And did I already say give him more robust? Because give the man more robust. Oh, and give him like 15 extra in melee. For both of his skills. And then I think he'd be perfect. I guess it all depends on when you see, when you're meeting this Gotrek, right? So yeah, so this basically some rules. You can be freaking blind in the pitch black. There can be distant lights. It kind of gives you an updated thing on the illumination table, which is just basically mostly reused from 2nd edition. However, this time we've got the addition of, come on, let's get a cheer for bioluminescent fungi. I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of neat, I guess. Fucking very dwarfy. That said, I will direct your guys' attention down below. This is pretty neat. It's got some rules. If there's only one person with a torch, they have a -10 penalty on all vision-based tests, like perception and such. Unless it's like a directional storm lantern. Because, you know, you're the run right next to the light. And then also, people attacking, if you're the only source of light, like, range attacks get a +20 to hit you. If there's a couple of light sources, then you might, like, half that, or chop it up to a +5, or something like that. But, generally, that's how that goes. Yeah, it is funny. Felix is, like, really definitely the underdog in his stats. But soon. I do like the rules here. Basically, how are you gonna have a cave, like, explosion, you know? And, let me turn that down a little bit. I think this is neat. Okay, you got a blunderbuss. You're gonna mess it up. You got this, like, blast quality. You're gonna really probably mess things up. You could even really screw yourselves. But you're fighting, like, huge ass, like, I don't know, spawn of Nurgle or something. Um, it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good. Um, that's the kind of thing where you really want to take care of it really like quickly. I do like this too because dwarves do use artillery, so it is neat that these things could happen. And of course, all up here is just modifiers that contribute to this table, as well as like sort of advice on how to use it. I did read this part pretty well, so basically, you've got all sorts of things. This is like any true Dawi is gonna have this. This is for Skaven. Only Skaven do this. Flimsy tunnels are. Ugh. You got weathered tunnels. Hey, even the nicest dwarfs thing, it can, things happen, right? Now over here, you can have these collapses, right? And usually it's just damage, or you bonk your head. You take 8 damage to the head. Kind of not nice. But the cave-ins are it's really bad because not only is it 1d10 plus 10, you are now prone and have to make a check, and that makes it a little bit harder. Lord Geology for some reason works, which is neat. I think that represents like a dwarf's inherent like knowledge of rock and stone. But it is funny if you think about a human. He's like, the sediment here is quite so, or something. I don't know. You can also just do an like endurance, right? And then you this is like a group test, so everybody that's stuck does this together. And if you guys can get 10 SL, you guys are able to dig your way out. Suffocation, I think, happens instantly in 4th edition. Once you lose access to air, and I think you just start taking endurance tests at decreasing amounts every round. That makes sense because if you remember, 4th edition does take place, um, a little, I think what, 2517? 2517. If you start with the enemy within, you're in what, 2512, I think. Because you have to go through the turmoil. So that would make sense. That would make sense because those books I think are set a little bit later, closer to the end times, if I'm not mistaken. Anywho, moving on. Dwarf downtime. This is the stuff. What do? We diggy hole. Kill me. Kill me. I just said that. Kill me. I understand if you leave. Alright. Dwarf hospitality. Basically, if you're not a dwarf, get out. No, but seriously, you need to probably leave. Or you shouldn't be staying here long. We're gonna watch you, like it's North Korea, and make sure you have very restricted access to anything. Well, I guess, though, if you're a dwarf friend, it's cool, and you can kind of chill down here at the bottom. But, basically, even if you're not a dwarf, you should still roll for these Karak events, which we're gonna check out in a second here, but... basically, stuff happens in a dwarf fortress, right? People get taken by fey moods, sometimes zombie elephants crush people to death, and sometimes carp are known to practice martial arts on the itinerant dwarves. So, you gotta roll for that. Thus, even a human might be affected by things going on. But very, very minimally, because they're kind of sheltered from it, but they also won't gain any opportunity. So if there's like, hey, there's a battle, well, we don't trust you enough to fight in it, and you don't get extra money. Sorry, bud. What does that say? Mustard? Mustard. I think this is like asking to fucking get beaten up. I feel like this is asking for like orcs and goblins to beat you up. I'm starting to think that maybe, Bugman maybe wasn't so smart. There's one dwarf here, one dwarf there, maybe like a second dwarf here, and a third dwarf here. And like that's their escort for this caravan. Now granted there might be stuff behind it, but buddy, this is like the best booze ever. You're barely bringing any of it. And I don't know. It's like you're asking for it to get stolen. Okay, so there's some pretty neat stuff here. Basically, all sorts of kind of stuff. There's a fight. Anybody can basically use the melee ranger skill and like earn as that. You get cave in, which is uses the same rules as we just saw. Troll, which really just inflicts damage on all your equipment and damages it. Um, and if you don't pass the test, you lose your endeavor. There's Family Shame, which you need to spend 2 endeavors clearing the freaking name, otherwise you have like no status. It's all gone. Gates are struck shut. This could actually mess with even non-dwarf parties. It's gonna be hard to get out, and income's affected. Fence is taken. Basically, you can either spend 2 endeavors or pay money to make things right, or you can say no and you can just grudge with another dwarf. It's totally cool. It's totally fine. The food prices double when there's a siege mentality. People can't use their freaking income endeavors unless you're a miner. If you're a peasant. A lot of these just do damage to you like this. You can get taxed, which is always funny. Animal care stuff. A lot of this is, you know, I probably should leave for you guys to kind of see, but just as a few nice ones, I do like the Beardling Apprentice. You basically get a minor favor for somebody. There is, where is it? Call to Arms. So if you succeed in a challenging test, you can get a major favor off somebody, but if you lose, you owe major favor. I think that's kind of neat, and you make a lot of money on your income endeavor. You make extra money. So I think it's just fun for the players and fun for you as the GM. You know? Yeah. So, like 4 of these just strike out grudges. I'm not really going to focus on those. One reduces your fortune by 1. The other one raises your fortune by 1. 2 of them are just like things are average. And even still, the Longbeards grumble. And yes, the Goblin Hunt. I do like that. That was the final one I really liked. The idea that you just go around wagering that who can kill the most goblins. The rest, again, check it out on yourself. It's pretty cool. Fit for a Dwarf is really neat, but I'm not going to detail it. You'll have to pause the video and go check that out. I think it's a little overpowered if you roll it, but there's actually something much, much more overpowered than that coming up. New endeavors. This is where we get to the overpowered shit that's bullshit. So first of all, dig hole. Digging tunnels is extended. You can use your lore. You can use your endurance. The thing about it, though, is, where is it? Long distance constructions are beyond the scope of this endeavor, as they involve the participation of entire mining clans. I don't think so, bud. I don't think so. I think you're just, I don't know. Well, maybe it is. But as a DM, there's got to be some way, and I'm going to figure it out someday, and I'm going to post it online, and people will call it cringe. So I think it's a really good like basis for it, right? So engineering Steamcraft can produce tunnels of the scale. Remember the Diggy device in the player's hand guide? So I think you could like, I think a super cool thing would be like digging super fortified tunnels, new ones for the Karazangkor. That'd be interesting. Indeed. In fact, honestly, let me see. Let me see. Actually, before that one, this is a very dwarf music of its own. Okay. So, modifiers, obviously, if you're doing it in the dark, it's not gonna be, it's not gonna be nice. But the thing is, you're making, like, a tunnel, right? So you can line it with, like, lights and shit like that. That's all gonna cost more. If you want to make it nice, it's gonna cost way more. All of these things, right? So I think, again, tons of campaigns can be explored by this, way more than what this book offers, and that's probably my biggest gripe for a GM's book. for a GM's book, maybe I'm a little biased from D&D growing up with the DM's handbooks and stuff, but where are all the dwarven traps and shit like that, right? I want to see more of that, more of the weird stuff, and especially way more fleshed out adventure hooks that really utilize the full force of what the book is bringing to the table. I'll get more to that frustration in just a moment. Small team of dwarves trying to recover 8 peaks. Post end time storm of chaosy scenario. Yo! I'm jealous, Doc John. That sounds so much fun. And you're about to become a brewer. You're about to become a brewer. That sounds so fun. I know who we are. What the hell am I even drinking? It's called Hourglass. A friend got me it for my birthday, which was just a couple days ago. And if you've had a birthday this month, happy birthday to you, anyone who's watching. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna take another sip. This is really good. Alright. So, not too much more to say on the digging the holes, other than that, yes, obviously you can help, and the integrity rating and all that stuff is affected. This is the best part of the book. This is the part of the book that is the best part. And here's my problem with it. It should be like 2 pages. Let's be real. It should be like 2 pages. It's also not very well explained. This paragraph could be rewritten, if I'm going to be honest. I think Cubicle 7, you guys need to rewrite this a little bit. Let's just go through it, right? Dwarves are masters of brewing ale, traditionally uncasking their new creations. That is not a dwarf voice. At the Festival of Brodag. I love Brodag. Each year, this endeavor prepares a batch for personal use. Dwarf brewers, from this book, True Believers, use the income endeavor if brewing batches for sale. Brewing a batch of ale costs 6 dimes to acquire ingredients. I think that should say, like, on average. And require access, or maybe, like, per something. Like, the stronger the drink and, like, the more abilities that you put on it, the more ingredients you should need, or like something. I don't know. You shouldn't make it like overly crazy. Keep it simple, stupid. But it should be a little bit more than that. Oh, that reminds me. We'll do this one. Everybody's got their little logo. That's just a swastika. What the hell? that recording studio's logo. It's just 4 R's in a windmill. Anyway. Okay, so brewing a batch of ale costs 6 dimes to acquire ingredients and requires access to a brewery and appropriate trade tools, right? Okay, I'm with you there. It is an extended test, still with you, requiring 5XL to succeed. Sure. You make 1 test average to do it per endeavor. Okay. When you brew the batch, decide on its strength, which determines what modifiers apply. Sure. Okay, I'm still there. On consume alcohol tests, right? Sure. And then it even says you, like, okay, when it talks about strength, it's a challenging, difficult, hard, very hard. But 4th edition only goes down to a -30. It's inherently flawed. And the bonuses go up to a +60? +40? So it's inherently imbalanced in that way and limited, right? And then, so here's my problems. Here are my problems. 1, how long does this take? Right? Like, yeah, it's an endeavor, but sometimes an endeavor is just a week. So, like, I don't feel like this really fits it too well. that as well, um, like how many is too many? And there should be like, oh, it could spoil or it could go wrong. Um, or maybe it could go horribly right. Maybe something strange could happen and it could go right that you didn't even anticipate as a brewer. Um, Secondly, uh, cool. These are great quirks, whatever. I feel like some of them should have like a minimum strength that are needed to have the alcohol, right? Because why would you not just do, oh, I'll just do a challenging whatever. Like if you do it harder, it should give a bigger bonus. It's just not as well thought out as it could be. There should definitely be more side effects, balms, and enrichments, but I'm not even getting to that yet. I'm not even on that yet. Um, like really, like why would you purposely gimp yourself other than to laugh at manlings? And to an extent, it is funny. It's very funny. It's quite literally, you cannot handle my strongest potions. My potions are not for you, manling. Dwarf brewer, give me your strongest ales. I am going into battle. No, Ungi. You cannot handle my strongest ales. Um, like there should be a reason other than just to laugh at the lad and everybody else. Um, more interaction, more clarification on how it interacts with stinking drunk. Like okay, we're just stinking drunk if we fail one of these, or how exactly is the dwarf ale working? Because we have rules for consume alcohol. You take as much as your toughness bonus. There are some fan splats that have deprecated and are only available on Kalevala, Warhammer dot whatever the hell. Um, there definitely needs to be more people preserving fan splats out there. But that aside, I just feel like it's it needs a little more time brewing this section, eh? Eh? All right. Stone me in the head and kill me. All right. That said, though, this is really neat because we've got all of this, right? And you can do multiple. You can put multiple on things, right? But then, like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like side effects and like other things should be penalties that are sometimes natural results of trying to brew. Um, okay, I'm highly, maybe I'm highly artistic, but I made a whole fan splat thing that I'm gonna be releasing soon. Well, not soon. It's not gonna be soon, but eventually. Um, on farming, and I try to think like, how can you make this not boring, and how can you streamline it for the player? And it's just every so often when you get to like doing endeavors based on the time that's actually passed in the campaign, you make certain roles to represent them like upkeeping or their farmhands upkeeping their brew. And it's obviously less than if they were there themselves if you're leaving it up to foreign people, but that way, not foreign people, what the hell, like it's like Cathayans, no, like other people. That way, at least you can go adventuring while you still have like a farm going, right? If you're a peasant and you got crops or whatever. I have a peasant in my party in the group that I'm running, so that's why I came up with this in the first place. Um, but I feel like something like an approach like that would be really good for this because then with a brewing, at certain stages in something brewing, there are certain like maintenance steps you need to do, and certain things can happen during that. Like wild yeast or bacteria could get in and it could change the flavor for better or worse. It could get stolen by goblins, right? Or any number. You could have events like brewing events. That's what it should be. It should take, you know, the longer, the more seasons you put into brewing it, the better the result. The better the result, with the average being like 2-3 seasons. You're a dwarf in a dwarf campaign. You're gonna live till you're 500, probably. You're probably gonna die way sooner than that to like goblins or shitting your pants, but because it's Warhammer. Let's be real. But like that's how I would do it. Maybe you call me autistic if I am. Say it in the chat or in the comments. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe that's not fun for anybody. But I think that would be a better way to handle it. Because because then at least it's a little bit more. It's still hands-on. It's still just as hands-on. But there's a little bit more nuance, and you have more stuff for like interesting things to happen. Like I think the same thing for like inventions. There should be a chance like things go wrong or things go right. Somebody made a really good crafting fan splat. I'll have to dig that up and do a homebrew hoedown on that at some point. But yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on that. Let's see. Rules. Yeah, there should be like more like I think like okay, like somebody it can get really fucked up. Like a human could die theoretically, right? But there should be more of this kind of stuff. It's literally called Manling's End, right? So I think like the thought is there, the thought. And sometimes it's the thought that counts, but other times it's the amount of effort you put in. And I'm not saying there's no effort in this, but I am saying that maybe perhaps being in charge of producing books for, what is it, 9 different game systems may stretch your writing team a little thin. And maybe you need to focus more. I don't know. You know, I can't say what's right for their business. Maybe they're making the right decisions financially and everything like that. But I would like to see a little bit more care put into these. Maybe a reprinting or something of some of the books, but or just patch it digitally, right? And give people who bought it physically the update. They've done that with a couple of books, and I think that's the way to go. Anywho, moving on. We're gonna move on. Wait, hold on. Like, you can drink it, but there are no bombs. You get all the side... That's honestly how you should just home rule it. Honestly, I feel like. That's freaking great. Concoct Drakefire. Kinda neat, but, like, I don't know how... Like, if you're gonna put this in, you should have put a bunch of other crap in, I feel like. I feel like this kind of goes to, like, the alchemy stuff from Winds of Magic. You could maybe have put it in there or something. Maybe it's kind of already kind of saying that. I do like this, and I hope that it could be applied to certain engineer characters who may or may not be dead. When they're working with similarly deadly materials, like troll bile. We got this, which honestly, like, it's just a better research, but, like, man, like, I want to see more unique stuff. If you're going to put stuff like this, we should have more than, what, 2 pages? 3 pages? 2 pages? Of endeavors. There should be more. Now, this is the cracked, fucking broken one. You can add qualities to your weapons and armor and equipment. Go ahead and make all your armor lightweight. Make all of your weapons lightweight. Make them durable. I wouldn't let you do that as a DM lightweight. Well, it depends on the material, actually. If you maybe, like, bound it with some more, like, alloy or something. Alright, maybe I'm a softie. Maybe you can get it by me. But, you know, I think you add durable, that's another encumbrance. Other things may be different. You know, precise, something like that, well-balanced or whatever. That's different. But yeah, and all in all, I mean, that's just insane that you can add qualities. That's like, that's my character's dream. My character's a human, and that is, if I could do this to equipment, I would float on clouds, you know? This is just like a retread, so I don't know exactly why it's here, because it already, I think, said it in the Dwarf Player's Guide. I could be wrong, but I think they had endeavors there. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, if I'm gaslighting myself, I own that. Alright, swearing oaths is very, very important, but basically, it's how you get, like, party grudges, and you can like spread it around. It's just very nice. It's a way that one player can kind of spread it around. You do all have to like do it, but I don't know. I think anything that helps the party focus in on a goal is good. Yeah. Yeah, Dwarf Smith is finally like really, really solid, right? Um the thing is, it says it's only 5 SL. That's what I take issue with. Normally when trading, any quality you add costs 5 SL. So that does make sense. But I don't know. I don't know. Is some part of it, just something about it screams to me this is very overpowered and abusable, which I like. I'm not a fan of nerfing things. I like when things can be overpowered and fun like that, but I just there's deep concern with part of that. Um that said, this shit is the coolest fucking thing ever. Well, not ever, but it's pretty neat. So basically, Carrot Kadrin, runesmiths, right? They want to use different aspect dragonfire. So I thought, what does this mean? And then I thought, oh yeah, okay, we got the sun dragons, the moon dragons. That's probably what it means. So all these different types of dragons, these guys want to experiment using different dragon fire to set these runes. So they've contracted an amber wizard to help, because you can't trust an elf with this, right? Nah. Um so you can kind of be part of this. You can be the dwarf party, you can be the players. Either way, but it's I don't know, it's cool. And I like that a lot of this is written semi ambiguously to that like even player parties or even Skaven parties could enjoy playing around with this. I think that's a very solid thing. This one's just kind of neat, and it's basically like you find a map off of a dead dwarf showing a Gromrel seam. So, if you're dwarves, that's all cool and all. I always like to think, what if you're not dwarves? You could try to exploit that yourself, but dwarves could grudge your entire family. After all, they believe Grumi literally gave them Gromril, and that all of Gromril in the world is their rightful property. So, and then finally, you can become a slayer, which is pretty dope. Um, this is just silly. This is just silly, especially if you do this. It just looks like a candied, like a candy or something. Like it's like melted. You've got like the apple in its mouth. It's just like a gusher. Kind of want to eat that now. It's like gold chocolate. Again, I will say, like, some of the lore just being like left aside and forgotten. Like, why not bring up Gold Lust? I can't help but think there's some strange reason why it wasn't brought up. And I can't imagine what that must be. But there's a few core things about like dwarves that like it's just not brought up in this or the dwarf player's guide. And to me as a longtime fan, that's just kind of odd. But again, these books aren't perfect. I don't know what I really don't know what to say. I'm not gonna make an excuse for it. Certainly not my fault, but and I get, there's only like limited time and space and budget for things. I don't know. Yeah, it's basically a more overpowered. Well, not more overpowered. It's it's not even quite as nearly as powered as adding runes, but it's still very very good. You could put fast and precise and lightweight on a weapon. Um, that's insane. The freaking dwarf barbershop quartet. All right, this is where I have some problems. This is another spot where I have some problems. Dwarf focused campaigns. So, some of these are really good. This first page, they started out strong. They've got 3 for each one, right? We got politics. Oh, you could persuade people to like a distant hold king to listen to Thorgrim, or conversely, you could calm Thorgrim down and tell him why that hold can't, abide by the decrees, which is really just the same adventure, just from two different sides. And now that I say that like that, I actually kind of think that they should have done more there. This one could be interesting. Maybe put a little bit of extra info for our DM to springboard off of. Going to the Empire as envoys to decide which two warring factions to support. That could be really good, like two nobles or whatever. But like, give us some more investment. Lower the font size, for God's sake. Conflict. This one's pretty freaking standard. You got Belagar, help him out. You could try to reconquista the Norse Dwarf holds. Interaction with another book. These guys stole a bunch of dwarven like organ guns and shit like that. You can try to steal them back. That's kind of neat. I've got my own kind of idea similar to that. I think I've talked about this in the Dwarf Player's Guide. But I'll talk about it in a second. Got trade. This one's neat and actually good. Spying on a human guild to ensure they're not stealing dwarf techniques. Acting as middleman between a dwarf supplier and an elf buyer. That could be interesting. Going into the deep to recover lost treasure. That's not really trade. You failed. That said, it is still a very good adventure, so it gets a pass. Grudges. These are all, like, just the standard biggest grudges. Except for this last one. Seeking to confirm rumors that the High Elves of Ulthuan keeping an enchanted cloak of dwarf foreskins, beards from the War of Vengeance, and destroy it if so. That one's pretty great. I think that one's pretty fucking funny. That sounds like a really hilarious freaking campaign, to be quite honest with you. Just wild shit. Here's where I start having the problems. You can already kind of see. Astute viewers will already see why I have a grudge with this page. Dwarf campaigns in locations. So, KAZUK. We've got 3. You can bring them new grudges of settled ones or whatever. Which, by the way, at some point I'm going to be running a one-shot live on stream called The Night Before Grudgemas. There's the Day of Grudgement, where every dwarf from every hold sends an envoy to KAZUK. This is canon, by the way. This is literally canon. To basically update the Great Book of Grudges with their own hold's personal grudge book. And so this one shot will be all about, the alternate title is how... Well, actually, I don't want to... if I say it, I'll spoil. I'll say it at the end of it, but... yeah. Basically, a bunch of Hold's grudges get stolen the night before Grudgemas, and it's up to a band of some plucky dwarves to recover all the grudges so that the dwarves can be merry and grumble appropriately. And it's gonna be a lot of rhyming if we can get this right. I don't know exactly when, but I will probably announce it with a post on my page, a link or something in an announcement in my Discord, and I'll try to let you guys know in advance because I think it'll be fun. Anywho, going down, we immediately get disappointed. Barak Var, we hear about this. It talks about Sea of Claws, and then kind of just tells us to kick rocks, but not entirely, because it does have at least one neat thing. And basically, you're investigating a nautilus, like an octopus, like a dwarf technology, strange submersible, shaped like an octopus. This could be a human, it could be a Skaven. Who knows what this could be? Maybe even if it's a goblin or something. Who knows? Maybe it's fish people. But it says employing dwarf technology. So, probably human. Or Skaven. Now, here's my problem. Here's my big freaking problem. This only has 1. This one has 3. This one and this one have none. 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 This one only has 2. I would almost prefer only 1 for each one. But it should be 3. It should be 3, and this is how you get your extra pages. You want it to look all nice and stay on one page. Well, guess what? Add some artwork or something. I don't know. But I'm starting to grumble, you know, because this is not okay. This is not okay, honestly. It really isn't. I mean, look at second edition, look at first edition, look even at third edition. Even look at third edition. That's right. I went there. Look at third edition's rulebooks. Even they had a little bit more care than this. If Sigmar's heirs, right? Each province would get like 3 places that would each get like a paragraph, at least. Right? And at least a little bit more effort. Like, I don't know. I just feel very much a waste of an opportunity. I don't know. Like it hints at things, but no more than anywhere else on the ones that do have related themes. So this just it makes it feel cheaper too. I can understand why some people are miffed. Personally, I like the book overall. Again, 8.5 to 9 is what I would rate it. But gosh darn if that's just not okay. Because it continues, boom, nothing, boom, nothing. Now this one, I give a pass to. I will give a pass to this one because there's a whole damn chapter on Karak Norn. Okay? And for the Norse dwarves, there's a lot on them in the dwarf players book, so I can almost give that a bit of a pass. But for the rest of these, it's just not okay. The biggest one I have a problem with is Zufbar. Zufbar should have like 10 in crazy inventions that all serve as different opportunities and in adventure hooks, and it's got fucking nothing. Zufbar should be one of the coolest freaking cities, and it's got nothing. This I really have to give a failing grade on. This unironically probably single-handedly takes off like half a point. I've got plenty of things. Thorgrim Grudgebearer has announced the Age of Reclamation and the Age of Reckoning, right? And dwarves are now starting to take things back. So now you are part of a gyrocopter or like an expeditionary force to, you know, the Red Eye Foothills to retake that Karak. And maybe, you know, like during it, like the High King, he's in like a thunder barge, and you know, you and your squad are like shooting down like freaking doom divers and wyverns and shit like that, and then like a gyrocopter with like your things on it like blows up the dude's thunder barge, and you have to take like the shit Slayer's oath because they think it was you, and you're not able to like clear your name, and you have to like fly like freaking. Nah, that's just Ace Combat 7. No, jokes aside, like there's a lot you could really do. Like seriously, there's a lot that I think is just underutilized there, and it just makes me mad. Look, I mean, dude, look how much this is blank. Kind of shitty. That's my thought on it. One thing of neatness is that, I mean, aside from some very funny names in this blurb, like Virgil, basically in Iser you can gamble a lot, play games, win stuff. Like it's like bartering on Overdrive for like gambling, which is kind of neat. So this is kind of goes hand in hand with the delves, but it just kind of goes a little bit more in the underway. This is also where we find that dwarf that shit his pants. Again, very funny. He harasses them. The room bearer does not want it to be known that they failed their duty because they died of the bloody flux. We've got a dwarf present, like a ranger, I think, presumably, presenting a orc's head to a thane. And this guy's recording it. He got his hammers. Right there. Oh. If I was smarter, I would know which clan this was. I'm not. I want to say Carrick Hearn, but I don't think it is. This is very funny to me, by the way. This one was a really good one. Basically, there's rumors that humans are smuggling hair growth elixirs into the holds, and people are like dwarves are using them, and they're accusing each other of using them, and it's insane. And like the dwarves, the hold are getting mad at Imperial dwarves, um, and it's insane. It's really neat. Um, there's a few more ideas here, right? So it's talking about their relations with like Engineering's Guild, which is really cool if you do engineering. Talks about like the cooperation as well as what you might call it, like kind of their views on other engineers. Like obviously they don't like them, but they do have some begrudging respect, as well as how they work with the colleges of magic, and how they actually kind of enjoy it. At least certain dwarves do. Um, Again, I think some of this should be expanded a little bit more. Like I really think it would do a lot to expound on like the between halflings and dwarves. A lot of this is covered in second edition, but I really don't. I don't know. I think if you're gonna make an edition, you should go it fresh. You shouldn't just assume the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood of like, oh, they already know what's going on, so we don't need to retread this ground. It's like, no, retread that ground for the people that are new, and as you're retreading it, you can put new stuff in there and make it neat. You can add new artwork, new facts, other things like that. I don't know. Again, Cubicle 7 always leaves you wanting more. Um, a little more on all of this. Main thing here, they did retcon the whole thing about the castle and the over 2 pennies. They they say that this story is blown out of proportion over the years, and they do reference the original story, but they say it's a mischaracterization and it's highly offensive. That it was originally over 12 gold crowns, which is a little bit more understandable. But some dwarfs like actually appreciate the emphasis, or sorry, the mischaracterization, because they're like, yeah, that's right. We will kill you if you owe us 2.5 pennies, and don't you forget it, manling. Never break our oaths. So that can be kind of neat. Um, whatchamacallit, it talks a little bit about how you can kind of have your grudges and whatnot, and how a grudge can affect like planning your campaign. Sometimes the grudge was hundreds of years ago, so you got to kind of like do some legwork and track down who's responsible now and who needs to die. Um, all sorts of things. This one's that's actually kind of interesting. There could be somebody who's like one of my characters who knows that they're gonna get grudged on. So you might as well kill that dwarf before he can do it, because then you might be safe. And so in that regard, this is actually a very powerful little potential wrench thrown into your campaign. Um, for me, I think a lot of really cool ones would be about like reclaiming holds or exploring or that sort of thing. But I do like that they give you a kind of a wider berth of ideas here. Um, this is one of the neatest things is if you actually succeed in a lot of your shit and you really do help the dwarf world kind of like become better. Well, so every single time between your adventures, there's a tracking number of like dwarf sentiment. I think this should be expanded upon because let's be real, everybody. If you're playing dwarfs and you're playing a dwarf campaign, there can be a couple reasons, sure, but I think a big reason a lot of people would want to play a dwarf campaign, why they feel being a dwarf in Warhammer is compelling, is not only do they want to play as a dwarf and all the fun things that come with that, but in the long run, the long view of it, I think each of them, each dwarf player kind of wants to do what a dwarf wants to do. They want to bring glory back to the dwarf people. They want to reverse the decline. That's always what people kind of want when they play an elf or dwarf. In fantasy, it's like if my people are in decline, I kind of want to reverse that, or I want to sulk in it. It's usually one of the two that a player wants to do. They either fully embrace the like doomerism, or they want to be the one that turns it around, even if they die trying. And so I do like that this reckoning table actually gives a chance for like dwarves to like kind of be happy, and it rewards you. Dwarves are actually like more amicable. They're happier, and you get fortune points. That's so cool. I think that's what honestly raises this book up a bit. Like, just the ideas are here. They just need a little bit more time in the forge, a little bit more time brewing in the barrel. A few more 100 years of growing a beard. And I think this book would be chef's kiss. 20, 30 pages extra. Let's get to like 110 at least. Right? Instead of 96. Let's add some stuff. And I think that would go a long way. This is a neat little like example grudges. Some of these are kind of funny, right? You got minor stuff. I know this is the first example, but I am going to just, apples claimed to have been picked from one village, like a good village, right? Were later found to be, it's not so great apples from whatever. This was like 2,000 years ago. It was never satisfied. So you could still go hunt them down, but how are you going to hunt down the honorless manling Hildegunda with just that little amount? But then you have all sorts of, other fun things. There's a dwarf that got tossed into a river, so they've got a grudge with an ogre. There's an elf literally got a dwarf drunk to beat him in darts. You got serious stuff like arson, murder, etc. Made somebody shit their pants for a week. So there's all sorts of fun stuff. Oh my god, I didn't see this one when I read it originally. There is a magical mishap when you fumble, when you try to cast spells that can be somewhat common, where you spoil ale around you in like 1d10 miles or something like that. So that happened. Sebastian Schultz in 2508, I guess, did that, and that's freaking funny. That's really funny. That said, we're getting, closer and closer to the end, so now we're talking about oaths. A little bit of reinforcement about how humans have, kind of done their part to help people, dwarves people, specifically. A little bit of advice on how to run things for Slayer characters and how to help Slayer characters and players, be a little not obnoxious, as well as have more fun, hopefully. And then at the end of the day, it all is just advice that you can ignore. So, I think that's a decent thing, because that is kind of like an obstacle for some DMs who are not as creative. They kind of think like, oh, I don't really understand how you can have like a Death Watch campaign. I don't understand how you can do a Slayer campaign. Like, it's not interesting. Where's the role play? Well, this kind of explains, like, yeah, no, you can still have good role play with a Slayer dwarf, and you just kind of got to do it differently. And you also have to give them opportunities to kill themselves. And they need to be able to do that. You need to allow for that. And they need to understand that that's kind of going to be eventually probably a very likely thing that happens. Because that's just kind of part of the theme of the setting. Are you a bad GM if your Slayer player never dies? Debatably. If you've tried to kill him and he survived, that's one thing, I guess. I feel like you should try to kill them. If you try and you fail, yeah, you can give them a break here and there for a little bit until the next big threat. But I don't think it necessarily makes you a bad GM if they're not dead, or if you don't kill them, or if they live for a long time. I mean, there's 4 ranks of the career. Ideally, a player wants to get to Demon Slayer and then die. But I digress. Um, that's funny. I hadn't seen that, but yes, you can use fate to keep yourself alive. It just means you're a worse slayer. Grimner is not done with you yet. Um, yeah. I do like the tattoos. But you can only get that if you're like a Doom Priest, I think. Alright, here he is. I've got my book right behind me, actually. This is old as hell. I've got the original somewhere, but this is just the omnibus. Hold on. This is just the omnibus. William King. What a writer, right? Troll Slayer. After the terrible events and nightmare adventures we endured in Altdorf, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I love the first line of this, actually, because that's just like the prologue. Damn all manling coach drivers and all manling women, Gotrek Gurnison muttered, adding a curse in Dwarfish. Wonderful. Very, very powerful. What a good book. Gotrek Gurnison, the man, the myth, the legend. Gotrek Gurnison. Statted and amazing. Things are not great. He's got to die, but he won't. And if you don't know about him, go buy William King's books. They're 100% worth it. And it's your first step in not being a secondary. They're really good books. I wouldn't even put them as Old Hammer. They're just good. They're slightly Old Hammer, but like not really. Like there's most of the stuff from that is like very foundational stuff. Alright, so this gives you the background on him, blah, 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 blah. If you don't know, then you should know. This is the part I like. Wounds, 55. Toughness, 85. Weapon skill, 95. Strength, 75. This is correct. Willpower, 85. Fellowship, 18. This is correct. The only thing I would say, melee basic, maybe like 152 instead, and like 130 for two-handed. Give him ambidexterity. Maybe give him one more hardy or a second robust. I mean, he does have damage reduction 8, but I think he could have a bit more. His axe is insane. 2 runes of cleaving. I think that's plus 2 damage each. I could be wrong. It also ignores 2 armor points, so it slices through most metal. And then finally, if it's a larger thing, you just add flat wounds onto the damage, which is insane. The larger it is, the crazier more runes it does. Oh, you know what? I guess this is before he... Yeah. Because he gets like a second axe at some point, I could swear, right? Am I gaslighting myself? It's been like decades since I've read, but I could swear he gets a second one. Anywho, we got Felix Jaeger, my man, my boy, the poet. You all know it. The man from Altdorf who killed a dude in a duel and now runs around, basically writing the rules on being an adventurer and screwing his way across the old world, be it random peasants to Kislevite noblewomen. His penis has been everywhere. He's got a magic sword. It hates dragons. He's brass too. That's about right. Here he is. Look at him. He looks suitably uncertain. Like, oh, am I gonna die here? As it should be, as it should be. So his stats are a lot more, mediated, but he has luck 3. So he doesn't have fate points, but he has fortune. He has 3 fortune. And that's what's gonna keep old Felix alive. I love this. Thine end is not thine end. You will be replaced and put into Age of Sigmar. Randomly. It sounds like Mongolian music. It is. It literally is Mongolian music. Not that there's a problem with that. But yeah, from there we've got a couple of stat blocks. You got the Gorgers, which basically when an ogre's thrown into a cave when it's really really young, it can either find its way out or it's basically, and like even if it does, it's still like abandoned. Or basically, it becomes the heels have eyes and it just scrabbles around and fucks people up. Um, so they're all in the underworld, just running around, eating Skaven, eating Chiskara, eating um, all sorts of things. I mean, a lot of goblins, I'd imagine, but you know, anything they can really get their hands on. So I imagine a lot of times they run into dwarfs. Um, but I think what this is really just saying is you know, it can be a nice little like encounter in the darker parts of the world, or if you go to the Mountains of Morn, because it supports the campaign going there, which is kind of nice. Um, this is fucking cool. Magma Dragon. It just looks like Basil Juice or Devil, not Devil Joe. I think yeah, Basil Juice. It just looks like Basil Juice. But they're sick. They're kind of neat, right? Um, yeah. The hell? Oh, that's neat. It's a cross page thing. So about these guys, wounds 224, toughness 7, but armor 15. Well, damage reduction 15. Grim 3, which is insane actually. Um, breath 17. Dude, this thing's fucked. This thing is fucked. Wow. I wouldn't want to fight this. These things are cool, but they pretty much only exist in the Darklands. But the game does say, you know, if you really want to be a GM about it and have your own fun, which you should, you really should. Who gives a fuck what other people think? You can put them in the old world proper. You know, the West. You can put them over here, kind of closer to Karaz Akarak. You could put him here, kind of south of that, over by Karaz Azul. Or you could put them kind of in the north, or way to I think this is actually way to the south. But what happens is if he goes here, it could drive the orcs way high up, way to the north. Now there is a spot here. Where is it? Oh yes. Okay, so this one's very funny. So Cazador, you know, Gorfang Rotnut stole his family, beat up his family, stole his family, and took him away, absconded, right, to Blackrag. Um, he wants to get him back. He can't get him back. He needs him back. What's really funny to me, you could be on this whole campaign to help him reclaim his kin, and then this could happen. Orcs of the Red Fang tribe may be forced to abandon Blackrag and migrate northwards. This is like if it like just takes over the volcano here, Carag Dran. It's like an active volcano if it starts living in there. And so then the dragon just kills everybody in Blackrag. His family, his kin are dead due to a dragon. It's totally unresolved. There is no closure. And you just have to go kill a magma dragon. That would suck. It would be kind of funny. I honestly think it's been too long. Um, Back, I think in the Winds of Magic review, I want to say, I bitterly complained at Cubicle 7 for not statting the Rogue Idol of Gorka Mork. Because they had rules for constructs, but they didn't actually. They said, like, you can use this for this or that or whatever, but they didn't actually stat them. I think the other, like, example they listed was, like, a Kemrian construct. And it's like, dude, you should stat some of these. You might as well while you're here. You know, make your world bigger, not smaller. Anywho, kind of details this. I kind of, I almost think this might be taken into the shitty rule that they gain, like, +1 SL on their channeling rules for every green skin in the area, or every 2 green skins within, like, 100 yards of them or whatever. But if it's not, then, like it says up here, you know, you got quite a cool scenario where it could take a long time for this to summon, and the whole thing is you're trying to prevent this summoning, right? So that'd be kind of neat. And if you want to make it really big, you can. So that's also kind of neat. There's some neat stuff. If you kill the guy, it could just fall back down. It could rampage, or the spirit of the shaman that summoned it could actually possess it, and then it's crazy at that point, because then you're kind of fucked. You're fighting like a sentient dreadnought, like a sentient mountain. I mean, look at that. It's not good. It's not good at all. Wait a minute. No. For a second, I thought this was just like a actual piece of like tabletop terrain that they put through a filter and just photoshopped onto the side there. But I don't think that's true. We got Clan Morbius. I know probably every YouTuber is going to make this joke or whatever, so I'm going to do it second. Yeah, this is actually kind of neat. It details a clan. They're part of the clan Pestilence like branch, so they're you know, very much Nurgle rats, as much as one can be. That said, after detailing a little bit about them, which there is some interesting lore here, quite honestly, but I gotta save some mystery for you guys to buy the books. This is a really cool scenario that I think you could play as either Skaven, humans, or as a dwarf party, or a mixed party, but not mixed with Skaven. I suppose some esoteric GMs could, but we don't talk about that. Anyway, you've got a couple of Morbius rats here. You've got Hesh, you've got Blistrox, and you've got some Plague Monks and some other stuff. Oh, they fucked up. No, wait. No, they're good. They're good. My bad. I fucked up. Anywho, basically, they've got, varying motivations. There's 3 Skavens that are kind of at odds at each other, but kind of not. And they're basically just trying to look for an excuse to fail. But one of them trying to, like, frame another. And there's a lot of really awful diseases here. Black belly fever is not good. You've got severe blight. It's challengingly lingering, which is not good at all. Fever, malaise, and nausea will ensure that you have like a -30 to all your rolls, which is really fucking bad. I mean, I shouldn't have to say that, but a -30 is not good. I thought bone rot was really bad, but now there's foaming lung rot. That just dropped. So, that's pretty terrifying. Basically, you get wounded, you get fatigue, all this other stuff. It's not as bad as the black belly one, but it spreads a lot easier. And so, you really just don't want to fight these guys. I mean, it will really fuck you up. Coughs and sneezes is not that's a really bad symptom, because that's a super spreader one. And anything that gives you fatigue is really, really bad. And you can't heal to full with that. So it's just, it's bad. Anywho, gives you a little bit about how the scenario goes down and how it might all ramp up. I don't want to spoil that for you guys in case anybody out there plays it or their GM plays it. And my God, that's the end of the book. Soy face again. Where's the gun hammer? Give me the gun hammer. I want it. Whew. But yeah, I mean, for those that stuck the whole thing out, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys like this. Okay, so I think, yeah, 8, 8.5, maybe 9. I think it needs a little bit of more work. It needs a little bit of more, like 15 to 30 more pages. Really, because I think they need to have a few more mechanics and rules, a few more examples, um, outside of things like tweaking the stats and such like that. I mean, their gazetteer is amazing. Don't get me wrong, at all. That's lovely. I just think, okay, like delve endeavors. Give us better ones. Um, the encounters, I thought that was great. The underground combat, I think that's great. Um, I guess if I had to rate each section, I would rate this section. I normally wouldn't rate it because it's just lore, but I would rate it a B plus. No, an A minus. I just think that the stats should be slightly adjusted. For some of the guys, I know they have crazy equipment, but I still think it should be a little meatier, a little beefier. Each of the big guys. Karak Norn. I honestly still need to like really pour through this one. It's the biggest thing, and it's all just lore. So I'm not gonna rate this part yet. Tentatively, I'm going to give it a maybe a B minus, maybe a B. No, that's not B minus is not fair. But the maps should look a little nicer. It's too late. They're not gonna change that at all. But I think the map should look a little bit nicer in some spots. It really just looks like they stopped caring at some of the spots. Which I don't think a dwarf would do. Like, if this was a human map, I would not give them shit for this. Let me be clear, chat. Let me be clear, VOD watchers. I would not give them shit for this if it was like a human map, but it's a dwarf map. So I have to hold it to a higher standard. I do think overall, this is the first time a dwarf hold, if I'm not mistaken, has been really fully fleshed out since Karak Asgaral. So I gotta give it novelty for that. I guess I can't really rate it. But the little that I saw, I liked. I'll say that. Delving, I will give a B. I'll give it a B, a solid B. It was good addition. It's got good mechanics, but it's not perfect. And the fact that the delving endeavors are literally just travel endeavors with a different name, that's not even a different name in most situations, that's no good to me. I think boo. This one I would put this at like A minus, B plus. Probably like an A minus. Just I don't want them to hear that and think, oh, we don't have to change anything. I think the Karak events are great. I think a lot of the endeavors are great. I just think no, you know what? Thinking about brewing and everything, I'm gonna lower this down. I'm gonna knock this one down. I am very disappointed in it. So maybe a B minus actually. I know they could have done more. You guys know you guys could have done more. This is only 4 pages worth of endeavors. You could have really fleshed out brewing more, explained it better, added better mechanics. Potion brewing has a ton of fun mechanics and symptoms and after effects and different ways of brewing and shit like that. And for ale and everything, no, yeah, maybe even just a C plus. I definitely think this section could have been better. As for this section, B. It's disappointing in some ways, like with the campaigns. Other parts are pretty good, pretty cool. It's just lacking a couple things, and only having 3 monsters statted feels a little weird. Maybe the Trigara. That's what they're called. Not the Triskana. The Trigara. Maybe we could learn a little bit more about them. I know they're detailed in the Imperial Zoo, but maybe we could learn a little bit more about them or something. I don't know. Maybe there's other things that go bump in the night that are like almost forgotten lore that we could dig up. I just feel like this could have been better. The Skaven thing I think is a neat addition. I don't think anybody was even really expecting it, so I think it's cool that it's there. Um, I'll give that one like an A minus. A. I mean, like, what really more do you want? Like, honestly, like, yeah, for what it is, I'd give this an A, maybe an A plus, because it's just a little adventure, and it really doesn't. It's not intending to detail that much. Um, yeah, like final grade, like B, B plus. And they need to add more. But what do you guys think? Let's hear your guys' thoughts. Those you guys still stuck it out, and for those who are watching the VOD this far, go ahead and leave me those comments on what you think. Sorry, this one was a little bit more long-winded, especially in the beginning. Um, I didn't get as much of a time to look through this as I had with the elf one. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I think overall not too bad. I'm gonna refill my beer real quick and I'll be right back. All right, I guess everybody passed out or zoned out or whatever. That's all right. For everyone else, thank you guys for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this book, or at least I hope you enjoyed me rambling. I know I got kind of bogged down with some of the lore, but um, I'll try to keep things more concise. Uh, Starting to narrow down on a video editing program I like for my next few videos. I've got one last video coming out from Adobe Premiere. Um, I did mean to get it. I mean, I always mean to get these things out sooner, but this one should be out, hopefully, with any luck, before the end of the month. Now, I know that's only 2 days left, but I'm gonna try my damnedest for you guys to make that deadline. Um, yeah. Let me crack open this beer. I mean, actually, one thing I could do that's kind of neat, since it's somewhat dead. It's got to save. Give you guys a sneak peek. What I got. I think I did this already, but maybe not. But let's see here. Open Homebrew Hoedown number 4. I don't think I showed this off. Let's see here. Let me make sure I do this right. I don't want to like dox my email to you guys. Here, let me do that. that. What do I do here? This? Yeah, that works. I think. There we go. Little preview for the homies. Little preview for the homies. Oh wait. I got I gotta change some volume around here so that you guys can actually hear it, huh? This over here, that there. See, volume mixer. Volume mixer, my kingdom for a volume mixer. I knew it. Alright. Now it should have the proper volume. Yeah, so this is the video that's been kind of clogging things up. I guess I shouldn't say it like this, but yeah. Oh my god, I'm muted. Okay, so what I wanted to say was thank you guys for watching. That's about as far as I want to give the sneak peek. The rest should be done within a few days. And yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed checking out the Dwarf book with me. I sure enjoyed looking at it. And hopefully I'll see you guys all in the next one. Have a great day. Bye. Oh, what's up, Overboard? Right at the end. It's all good. Basically, common consensus, solid B of a book. Solid B. Yeah. I kind of ramble for a bit in the first 30 minutes, so watch out. But once I get past all the lore, things kind of pick up some steam. Alrighty, man. You take it easy. I gotta get some sleep. I've got work. I'm going to drink and try to work on a video before I have to go to bed for work. Later.